Mo, any week 14 recaps? Anything that stood out? Any upsets?
Just the chips falling like it may for us. Giants losing, Seattle losing, opened the door for us, gave us a great opportunity. Just Tampa. I mean, Tampa now that NFC South. Who would have thought that division would look like that? Like, that's been a surprising. I didn't think it was going to look this bad, where possibly somebody's going to win that division at 7 wins. Like, if you told the four of us at the beginning of this season or beginning of the year when we all sat down, that's possible somebody's going to win the NFC South with 7 wins, we'd have laughed. We'd have like, what? Huh? Like, we thought this was going to be the tightest race. We thought outside the AFC West, we thought this was going to be the toughest race. And now this might be the worst division. So other than that, everything kind of stayed status quo. Shout out to Baker Mayfield, going through what he went through, and then making a bold decision to leave and then leading them to charge. Raiders should be ashamed of themselves. Dallas didn't look good, but at the end of the day, I think at the end of the day, it's win now. I think we get too high and we scrutinize these teams a little too much. And I think sometimes, yes, that's what we do as analysts, as people who do podcasts, but at the end of the day, it's win. You win, you advance. You win, you keep moving. So I think they'll go in, they'll clean it up. They know what's ahead of them. They know they can't play like that against another team. They can't play like that against Philly or San Fran, or they can go home.
All right. Corey, what's your week 14 recap? What's your thoughts?
The thing that stood out to me most in week 14 was it was really nice not having to watch the dumpster fire that has become the Indianapolis Colts season.
Oh my goodness.
I get stuck with it for my Saturday, so that's awesome. But yeah, 1 week reprieve was great. Good for Baker Mayfield. He's got a really interesting opportunity in LA right now. Both right now and potentially going forward into next season, because who the hell knows with Matt Stafford or Sean McVay or what's going on with that franchise right now. But I think he's in a better situation than he's been in his career. So good for him. Philly looks scary good right now. We'll see if they can keep it going and keep this into the playoff, because as I mentioned earlier, they are a really young team, a young head coach. They don't have a lot of guys that have been there before. So we'll see if they can keep the momentum going, but they're a lot of fun to watch right now.
Yeah.
That Tampa offense looks awful still. I know Byron Leftwich was a really hot head coaching name last year. You got to wonder if his name's going to come up this offseason.
Probably not.
Because listening to commentators, it feels like people are trying to put this more on the coaching staff than Tom Brady. So, we'll see how that actually is reflected when it comes to coordinators getting jobs. I think we kind of touched on the Cardinals earlier. With Kyler going down, I think you maybe have to kind of consider blowing it up. With an ACL, he could be ready next year. He might not. You don't know. You look at a number of the veterans in that team, Hopkins, Watt, those guys they're old at this point. I don't know what they have left in the tank. They've got holes all over the roster. They've had to bench some of their high draft picks. You just blow it up, redshirt Kyler, and come back next season or 2 seasons from now.
Yeah, he might miss all next season, man. He might.
Yeah, I mean, if it's something that he might be ready, be on pup and be ready to go come week 7, what are you going to look like? So I know we touched on it. It sucks to see a guy that talented get hurt like this, but it's going to be decision time in Arizona soon, and there's going to be a lot of hard decisions that got to be made.
Yeah. Craig, what's your week 14 recap?
Well, unfortunately or fortunately, I don't know how people want to go take it, but Panthers won. I'm kind of still torn because, obviously I wanted to have a high draft pick as possible because I don't believe in Sam Darnold or PJ Walker. So, you know,
You like the head coach? Let me ask. Yeah.
he's doing all right. He's doing a pretty good job. You know, the team seems to be responding. They're running the ball. For some reason, they're running the ball a lot more and a lot better with Herbert and Foreman than they were with CMC. So I don't know. They're not really passing the ball as well, but I mean, and then you got Darnold who can make plays with his legs as well. So, I don't know, man. It's just a weird situation. They scored 30 points and won the game for the first time since November 14th of last season against the Cardinals. So I mean, they don't score 30 points often, and for the first time in I don't know how many games. I lost count after I don't know I don't know what they lost 25 in a row or something like that. I lost count. They had to be up to almost 30 or at 30 of games they gave up 17 points and lost. So
okay.
that's finally gone. I don't know, man. It just took forever. It seemed like. So you know, I thought it was a big win. It was on the road in Seattle. Panthers usually don't go up there and win too many games, so they were able to put a whole game plan together. They got out early, and then Seattle came back, which I kind of thought they would, but they were able to hold them off late. So it's a big win for them. And see what they can do for the rest of the season. I don't really expect much. So look at the Rams and the Raiders game. The Raiders had a chance to get back into the playoff hunt, and then they just, I don't know what happened. They just let Baker go out there and look like Tom Brady did the week before. And I looked at it, there was like a 98.5% chance with 4 minutes to go the Raiders were going to win. And then obviously
that's a big bet if somebody made it.
Obviously they did not. So the Cowboys, you know, they looked the Texans gave this game away. This is why the Texans are 1-11-1 because they had a chance from the 5 or whatever it is, and then I don't know what that play was on fourth down. It might have been a broken play or just I don't know what that was, but that was a horrible call. And then you just let Dak Prescott, who's been struggling since he came back, go down at 98 yards, take the team down for a touchdown, game-winning touchdown. So this is why the Texans are 1-11-1, and this is why the Cowboys are a potential Super Bowl team. But you know, they were 16, 17-point favorites in this game. So I mean, it just didn't look good being at home and then taking the team for granted. But this is what happens sometimes when you just play down to your competition. They got to know, even though Texans are trash, this is still the NFL. So hopefully they learn from that. The Vikings, I'm still not sold on the Vikings. I haven't been really sold all year. Every game that they win is a one-score game. Every game they've lost has been a double-digit loss. So I you know, even though the Lions were 5-8 and the Vikings were 10-2, the Lions were still the favorite, and it showed. So I don't know what to think about this. I think whoever the Vikings match up with, whether they get the 2 seed or the 3 seed, I think they could be the underdog going into that game, especially if the team that's in the 6 or 7 spot is playing well, like the Commanders, and the Commanders played them tough already. So, or if it's Seattle, or even if it's Detroit again, I don't know, man. Maybe if it's the Giants, that would probably be the only team I think I would take the Vikings as a favorite. But all these other teams, I'm not sure. Speaking of the Giants, they looked terrible against the Eagles. It was a blowout loss. I thought they were going to come in highly motivated after the week before with the tie, and they kind of gave that game away, and they just looked. I mean, I know they're playing the Eagles, but I mean they showed no fight in that game. And obviously, you talked about Tom Brady and the Bucs and how they looked, and Brock Purdy how they looked, and then you got the Chargers, who Chargers got a much needed win in that game. So I thought it was a game that they obviously needed to have to get themselves back into the playoff race, especially with the Jets losing, and then you had the Patriots next day winning. So the next 4 weeks are going to be very telling for this playoff picture. Playoff push coming up. So looking forward to it. Yeah,
we're probably gonna talk about that every week because it's gonna change, man. It's gonna change. I think, you know, good or bad. My week 14 recap, like everybody else, Rams and Raiders. Corey made a good point. I think Baker Mayfield should stay with the Rams. Number one, He's in Sean McVay's system. Even if Stafford comes back healthy, sit and be backup for a year. I think you'll have a better opportunity. This year, I think you'll go to a place that's going to be looking to replace you. You want to go to a place where you have a potential to start. And we're going to talk about that next week, where we're going to break down a quarterback carousel as every team, if they need a quarterback or not. And, should they draft, free agent, all of that. But I think he has an opportunity to stay. I know people say McVay might retire. I don't see it. I think he loves football too much. Colin Cowherd said that he was like, he could retire and then come back in 5 years. I don't see McVay retiring. I think he just loves the game too much. I don't think he wants to go out like that. So I think he'll be back. They'll get healthy. They'll be back next year. I don't think they're going anywhere. So he'll be extra motivated, but I think Baker should stay there. Once again, it's just been some good games. The Bengals are finishing up strong like they did last year, man. They're going to be dangerous in the playoffs. Cowboys, this is the thing, Craig, about the Cowboys. You're right. You can't play down to, at this point in the season, you shouldn't be playing down to your competition. Because that's going to make you worried about, people are going to be like, oh, here's the story. I think they will blow out the Bucs. But the narrative's going to be like, will they play down to their competition? Will they play down to Tom Brady in the playoffs? So they just got to be wary of that. I don't think so. I think if they play Tom Brady, they're going to blow him out. But that's just me. But they shouldn't play down to their competition. I think from now on, if they're playing a team, they should be focused and obliterated, maybe because it was at home and they thought it was an easy win, and they're looking forward, maybe, but which doesn't make sense because they have the Jags, so they shouldn't be looking forward unless they're looking forward to the Eagles. Because that one day Jimmy Johnson said that when he was coaching Dallas, he was telling Norv Turner, forget the Browns. We got Philly next week. And they lost to the Browns. So sometimes I think that happens. So they might be looking toward the Eagles too much. They're already talking, So that's kind of my recap. I think the, big wins by the Lions. Philly's looking good. The Ravens defense is playing really good. I don't think it's getting talked about enough. But if the Ravens could hold on and Lamar comes back with that defense, they're going to be dangerous. J.K. Dobbins is back. They're going to be dangerous in the playoffs, man. So, don't be surprised. And shout out to the Panthers with the big upset. Beating the Seahawks was huge. I thought it was going to go the other way, but nah, y'all are still in it. Shout out to Steve Wilkes. And here's the funny thing. How do the Cardinals look right now? Because I think if the Cardinals kept Steve Wilkes and still drafted Kyler Murray, I think they would be in a better position they are in now. That's just a thought. He looks like he's very old school, demands more of his players. I love Cliff Kingsbury, but I think he's a little bit more loose. And you can tell on Hard Knocks, he's like, all right, guys, just get it together. Keep each other accountable. I think Steve Wilkes is in there like, you effing up. You know what I'm saying? Like, get your stuff together. And the Dolphins, we talked about it, and we talked about Tampa. I wasn't surprised with Tampa. I think they played one of the best teams in the NFL. I was surprised about the Chargers and Dolphins. I think Craig picked the Chargers. Craig picked the Chargers. I think he picked the Chargers to beat them. But that's it. And you did?
The Dolphins?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Who you got? Yeah, okay. Yeah, that's what I thought. Yeah, and then it's going to be very interesting. I can't wait. I think, we'll definitely talk about the playoff picture next week. I can't wait because this is the time for football that I love.